Welcome back, everyone, to the third episode of me and James talking about Star Wars. And
the third episode where we talk about episode 2.
Yes. Oh, we're talking about episode 2. So this Jeremiah gave us a challenge to find anything good in episode 2. So, but I find it a general challenge for him to find good in anything. Gosh. All right, well, like last week, let's start with maybe where you were when you first saw Attack of the Clones. Do you remember?
You know, I actually don't. I remember not being as excited about the second one. Maybe I do. I don't know. It was probably a midnight release.
I know I was at the same theater that I saw episode 1 in. I don't, like, I honestly, I think it was 2002. I really don't remember what happened. I remember it was a weird year because he was following 9/11 and everything. And if I remember correctly, I know Star Wars always comes out in May, so it wasn't too long after that. I remember it was still just kind of one of those, I don't know. It had a weird feeling to seeing Star Wars while that kind of was still very, very big.
Big?
What? I'm like just like still like within culture. I remember like movies are very careful of like showing.
You make it sound like, oh yeah, it was 9/11 was still popular then. It was still a big thing. It was a hit.
I just mean like, do you remember how like a lot of movies had to be were really careful of showing, especially like Spider-Man in 2001 when it came out, or 2002, that it took out the Twin Towers from it and all that. So I just remember movies just around that time period were just very careful of showing stuff like that. So all I remember is just I feel like I went seeing the movie like the trailer.
I mean, it was over half a year later.
Yeah.
But
cool. I do remember the two people were in front of me, and I was pretty much just about first in line, except for these two other guys who stayed there for about stayed out for 3 days beforehand. They're really nice people, and they just ran.
Say that again?
They stayed for they camped out for 3 nights before the movie came out. So
that's ridiculous.
Have you heard about the people for Phantom Menace that stayed out there for 3 months?
That's just stupid.
Isn't that? Like part of it I think is stupid, but I think if it's something you really enjoy, I think
it's still stupid.
No, I couldn't imagine the bad people staying and then seeing episode 1. Oh gosh.
Like what do you get for that?
I don't know. I just remember I watched this documentary of it, and it was really funny because they're all like excited, and you see them come out, they're like, so what'd you think? They're like, yeah, it was Star Wars, yeah. You could tell like they're like, I think it was really good. I've
got nothing to say
I know.
Good about it.
Yeah. So anyways, I do remember the Yoda fight scene was.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. That was
looking back at it now, I think it's really retarded. I think still because if you look at the actual choreography, it's just so horrible. Like
because he didn't actually like fight him that much.
Yeah, there wasn't fighting. Every hit was useless. But
when it happened,
it was so much fun being in the theater, hearing everyone cheer, and that's one of the biggest reasons I like going to see midnight releases or the day it comes out for Star Wars, is because you get the most hardcore excited fans. And I can enjoy a movie, like I don't enjoy every movie with everyone cheering and yelling with the film, but Star Wars, it's just fun because everyone around you is as excited as you are. So I do remember that being like, whoa, Yoda. But yeah, can we just talk about the awkward intro? Gosh. This movie has one of the longest periods of sections in the movie where it's just slow. Like, even the plot of it's not... I actually kind of enjoy some of the plot of it, just like them hunting the bounty hunter, trying to figure out what's going on. But the setup is so bad. Like, the initial just, like, ship landing, and then it's like the cheesy line where he's like, oh, we got here safe, I guess you never were in danger, and then something blows up. It's just such a crappy line that it's like, gee, I wonder what's gonna happen now. I remember the first time I seen it going, oh, someone's gonna die, like, because you said that cheesy line, I know someone's about to die. And of course he did. And then the fact that Amidala like keeps her helmet on during their having the talking scene, it's like, hey, let's not reveal who she is. Like, it was just, I don't know, like, I'm thinking, like, now, if I had to film it, I was like, why couldn't you have that happen right as she's getting out of the ship, so you don't have to have her awkwardly keep her helmet on, say the stupid line, it's just cheesy. So the movie started on a bad note, I think.
Yeah, pretty much stayed there.
How do you like the?
This is by far my least favorite of the entire series.
It is for me now.
Which
like,
is a shame because it had a couple cool parts, but for the most part, it was just the worst.
It's also the longest Star Wars movie too of all of them.
I mean, they put so much time into battles. It's like, I don't know if people enjoy seeing that for so long. It's one thing to see something historical or to see like a really good fight scene between a couple people, but just like long battles, it's just, I don't know, that just doesn't do anything for me. Like they started out with a battle and they ended with a battle. Yay.
Well, I mean, the introduction, then they like Anakin first sees Padme for the first time, and then you have that
awkward.
Yeah, it just starts like
it never comes down from being awkward.
It never does, and I can understand like some of the parts you can like. I like there's a couple scenes towards the end when Obi-Wan says something like I think towards the middle of the movie, I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's one of those things where like when I first saw it as a kid, I'm thinking like, don't call me a kid, you know what I mean? Like I like the idea they were going for, but it was just never executed well. It never made you feel like, gosh, everyone's just being a jerk to him. Like he just
they made Obi-Wan look like a dick. He was always just like, mind yourself, Padawan.
Yeah.
Always.
It was just very snappy.
Yes, master.
Yeah.
You got to really take it. Yes, master. It's just like, it never. What a dick.
The only good line I liked at the start of the film is when they're talking about how they, rescued each other from some mission. And I'm like, that movie, the Attack of the Clones should have started like Revenge of the Sith did, with just a battle, not having to, I don't know, like catch up on what's going on. It was just two good Jedis, basically brothers who know what they're doing, and it's just you can be sarcastic, but like the second was just so like, you'll mind your manners and do this, and it just felt, I don't know, too I don't know, it was just too ridiculous.
They didn't build up the reason why Anakin felt like Obi-Wan was holding him back.
Yeah.
Like they just didn't do it well. It went from to you not seeing him at all, like over like in between movies, to all of a sudden he has this relationship where he's being told what to do all the time.
Yep.
And so, but you never see it justified. Like you never see. It'd be different if you saw Anakin be right here and there, even when he wasn't playing it safe.
Yeah.
They could kind of push it back on Obi-Wan and say, look, this worked.
And it's so sad because, I mean, Joy and I, we've watched through the Clone Wars animated show, and I think it's fantastic. And Anakin in that show is done really well. Like, he's definitely one of our favorite characters in the show. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka are just tremendously well-written characters in the show. Like, they really grow, and you're like, actually kind of fear from him when, like, certain happens. You like, oh, no, dude, And I wish they had captured that. Like, and I think what they should have done is, I mean, like the movie should have started in something where they needed each other. It wasn't constant whining. But then it did dip, and it could dip into the areas where you could tell where Anakin wanted to like show off. You know what I mean? A little bit.
Right.
But they didn't ever give Obi-Wan explanations for Anakin. It's kind of like, it's just mind your manners. It's not like, hey, Anakin, like we need to help you dial this back, because if you don't, this is where you can start going off the edge. You know what I mean? With the Force power stuff. It was just like, no, shut up.
They could have done many different things instead of having like showing his arrogance by him running into battle against Dooku or something.
Yep.
I would rather have seen Anakin like be like overly powerful at some point. Mm-hmm. Like almost out of control powerful.
Yeah.
And like Obi-Wan like being like, this is going to be a problem. And then seeing it kind of go to his head at that point. But you don't ever get the point of him. You never see him worthy of any of the.
Yeah. I feel like it's like if they had gone a little bit more of the direction of Jean Grey from like X-Men, you know what I mean? Where
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
where she became the Phoenix and was just like, holy crap.
Yeah. It's just like it'd be awesome if there was moments where, like, okay, people I think rag on for his acting. I think he is a good actor. I've seen him in a bunch of movies. He's a really good actor. He had shitty lines, and also he was terribly directed. But like the scene when he goes to save his mother and everything, like when you see him angry, like for me, when I saw it at the time, I really related to that because it's just like, I'm very much.
Because your mom was also in captivity at the time?
Yes. Well, I'm very much the kind of person that holds things in for a very long time. Like, I generally give people benefits of the doubt, and I don't know, I try to be like, nah, I'll give them one more chance, give them one more chance. I don't like to just get angry all of a sudden. I don't know, I just hope for the best. But like, so I could kind of relate for the fact that he kind of was like, I'm sick of this. Like, all the Jedi Council give me shitty reasons why I shouldn't go and help my family and go rescue my mom. I'm going to just do it. And I think in a way, I wish they gone in a different route to show that Anakin was right, because I hated the Jedi Council every single time. Like, I hated, like, the people in the Jedi Council I think are retarded because they don't give any actual answers for anything. It is very just, oh, this and maybe that. So that's why I'm excited about Force Awakens, because I think Luke is going to go completely opposite. He's not going to be, let's build a Jedi Council to govern this stuff, because I think the Jedi were way too, like, stingent on what they do, where it's really bad to a fault. But
he wouldn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't know, other than
he was told by Ghost Dad.
Hey, Luke.
Hey, Luke.
First, you got to build a tower that goes way out into the sky in a little area, so you can all sit around.
Luke, stop touching yourself. I'm watching you.
Okay, I did die laughing in the council room, and like the second one, I believe. The second
You were in
scene.
the council room?
In the second scene, there's a squid Jedi guy in the back.
God.
Like, it was so funny. I'm like, this is not the you're looking for. It was. I never saw him before. I was like, who is this guy? Squid Jedi. I just want to see if I can find him. It wasn't.
He could hold like 8 lightsabers with his like different tentacles. I wish they'd. I said this before, but I wish they'd done an entire movie on the academy and the training.
Yeah.
And the actual progression of Anakin. That would have made more sense, to see him in a classroom questioning his teachers, asking them, "Well, why do we do this? Wouldn't it make more sense for us to do this? Wouldn't it be better if we just did this?" Or if he seemed like he was getting impatient with the learning because he was further ahead than all the other students. Like, that would make a lot more sense to me, to start building on that arrogance is kind of his downfall in his emotions. But they
could have done that instead of showing tons of the Padme whiny stuff. Like, that would have just been way more interesting.
Pretty much anything they could have taken out would have been well replaced.
I will talk about a scene I did like. I did like the whole the chase. I like when Obi-Wan jumps through the window, because I think he's a badass. And follows whatever the bounty hunter lady.
I mean, that was pretty cool, except for the comic relief. What took you so long? Oh, master, gotta find the right car.
Right speeder. Yeah, like, it's just like, there's just something so bad about the lines.
You've gone completely the wrong direction and lost it. Like, it's like, really?
Yeah. And remember, he's like, sorry, master. And then he jumps off. But my one is, how did he know she was down below? Like, he goes, this is a shortcut. But he doesn't really know. No. But
he's got that.
I guess he's got the
feeling.
Force. He's got that feeling.
When I got that feeling, I want Jedi healing.
I got to show you this real quick. So this is an image of, I think it's from Attack of the Clones, and it shows one of the Jedi on the council, and then it says working from home. One of the perks of being on the Jedi Council. He's like got the like projector version of the hologram.
He just got off the set of Coneheads.
Yeah, like, again, the soundtrack and audio is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I don't think there's really any movie that has as good as sound effects and audio quality as Star Wars.
No, not yet.
Wait, what do you mean?
Except the new Star Wars.
Oh, except for the new Star Wars. But yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So I love that scene. Anything with Jango Fett I thought was really interesting, but they could have done so much more.
It was okay, but I hated Boba Fett in that movie so much.
Yeah, the little kid, it was frustrating. He had cheesy lines, and again, he had an
ugly voice. Hey, Dad. Like, what are you smoking?
Hey, Tonwee. Hey, Tonwee.
You're too young to be smoking,
Shoot
buddy.
him, Dad. Shoot him. Blast him. And then, like, okay, in the commentary, the whole scene with him, you know, being shot, like, you know, they're fighting in the asteroid field, and, you know, the sound effects are amazing again, and it was cool to see the Slave 1 ship or whatever, Slave 2 or whatever it was. And then, you know, Obi-Wan hides behind the asteroid, just like the Millennium Falcon does. And in the commentary, gosh, another thing that, like, George Lucas, you don't have to do this. This is not somehow connecting to the other films and adding more story.
It worked one time. It's gonna work again.
He was like, that's why Boba Fett didn't get duped by what Han Solo did, because he's seen it happen before. And I'm like, okay, you know, that would have been really cool if you actually planned that somehow, but you didn't plan it. So he could just be a smart ass, like, amazing bounty hunter. You don't have
because
to
as a kid, you remember all that stuff after you traumatizingly watched your dad die.
Yep.
Oh, I remember that one time that guy was floating behind a rock. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I bet that guy's going to do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I liked that they introduced the clones, and I liked that they showed how they came about, but it didn't do anything for me as far as actually watching it, other than, oh, okay, cool, that's how it happened. And that was it. Like, the whole being on a water world thing, and I don't know.
Okay. So John told me about this. This guy came up with this reason how he thinks that Jar Jar Binks is actually a trained Force user. And he's a Sith collaborator.
Oh gosh.
And it was like, I was like, think of it. Jar Jar in the first movie, he destroyed cannons and tanks and stuff like that, all by just being silly. He must have had Jedi stuff. And then you have Palpatine, who's working with Jar Jar in scenes. No way he would work with such a dummy. It was just like all these different things. Like, look, he's got these Force moves and stuff. I'm like, what the heck?
He's got the reflexes, man. Yeah. That tongue.
Count Dooku.
He was pointless to me.
He was absolutely pointless.
Like, he could have been a cool character.
Yeah.
But he was pointless. Like, he never fulfilled any purpose.
No, because there was a rumor that when Count Dooku was captured Obi-Wan, and he's there and he's like, join me and together we can destroy the Sith. People were wondering, like, did he actually want to destroy the Sith? Like, was he actually secretly maybe working for the Jedi or behind, you know, he kind of like, yeah, he was basically deep undercover with the Sith, but also trying to get out himself, you know? And it was like, I remember back, like, in Attack of the Clones, that was like a big rumor, like, is he actually going to be a good guy? And he actually really wanted Obi-Wan to help him. But because Obi-Wan turned him down so much, he got too far that he was just I don't know, whatever. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. He was just the character that was like, all right, then we'll capture you. So is he the one that's working on, like, because there's those little bug bee guys towards the end of the movie that were actually building the Death Star. They were hiding the plans.
Yeah,
on that Geonosis place.
I think it was just, I wouldn't read too much ever into the level of depth that was thought about. I think he was just trying to play it up to lie. I don't know. It would have been cool if, like, they pulled it full circle and he was like one of the Knights of the Ren.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool, but that's definitely not going to happen.
I know. I can't wait to hear. I hope they have in some of the Blu-ray features or something if they hint at what George Lucas's, like, original scripts were. You know, for at least it might not be until all three of them are done. You know, just because I'm sure if they have some ideas that they are keeping for the next couple ones. But it would be interesting to find out, like, what originally were you planning to do? Were there anybody that you were hoping to continue with and connect? And then
the Jar Jar saga.
Dude, the scenes on Padme's home planet, Naboo, like, those scenes. Oh my
gosh.
Okay.
It was unbearable.
The scene when they're sitting beside the railing and they kiss for the first time, right? and Anakin's talking about like, I hate sand, it's all coarse and rough and it gets everywhere, you know? Well, did you know this is the level of what George Lucas does? And I'm like, it frustrates me because it's like, you don't have to do this. It made almost no difference. And I've seen both clips, but his Anakin's hand reaches over and like lightly touches Padme's hand. Mm-hmm. Well, if you watch and you're looking for it now, when his hand moves over, you can see a slight little edit, and that's actually Ben Burtt's hand. They cut in because Anakin's hand actually doesn't ever reach over and touch that way, but George Lucas wanted it to touch that way. So he added this fake hand, and you can see this like the whole shading of it changes just slightly, and it looks so awkward. And I'm like,
why didn't they just reshoot it?
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, why didn't you shoot it? Or wouldn't it, like, was it that bad without that you had to have a crappy looking visual effect just for that?
Han Solo dodging a laser. That shows the level of the sinking he'll go to.
Okay, yeah, with the whole Jabba the Hutt, right? I actually love that scene as a scene.
Yeah.
But this is what I would have done. As Han Solo begins to walk behind Jar Jar, instead of digitally manipulating him to make him walk up, which looks funky, as he kind of walks behind, cut to the Boba Fett character. Like, just cut to another shot real quick, listening to him, and then you cut back as he kind of comes. Like, there's so many different methods you could easily...
They want it to be funny.
I know, it was like, but like, we could do it because we got CGI. And I'm like, gosh.
All right, so... There's a scene where they kiss, and then she says she shouldn't have done that, and then 20 minutes later, it talks about it haunts him. The kiss he should have ever gotten. What the hell was she wearing? She's like, this was a bad idea. Now I'm going to wear some kind of like bondage outfit for you.
Dude, like right by the fire, it's all dark.
Yeah.
It's
and I'm going to make sure my boobs stick out for you, but it was a bad idea to kiss.
Those lines. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, it doesn't take even that much work, honestly, to make those scenes better, I think. Is first, don't put it in a freaking fireplace scene. Like, oh, you're just having a regular chat? Like, I would have put it someplace where it was...
Well, it was awkward. It felt like something like from Twilight.
I know. It was... Maybe that's where Twilight got there. Like, wait a second. We have to mirror this. Yeah, that's that scene. And then, okay...
I actually think the Twilight movies were more coherent than this movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, actually, the second movie, I actually really enjoyed. I've not seen the last one.
We're not having confession time here.
Okay, yeah. Well, we totally didn't watch those movies.
What?
Another scene when they're eating dinner and he floats over the pear. Like it's.
I mean, that was kind of cool, I guess.
When she eats it though, she's eating a fake pear, and you can see, like, okay, you need to zoom in sometime on that shot, and the pear just kind of goes whoop, like right, like it doesn't look good at all.
Well, it's funny, like when it goes in, it looks like she's like gonna bite in right into like the stem or something like that. Like, you douchebag, you couldn't have like given her a better piece. Dude. Oh, I found a worm for you. Here you go. Protein.
No, you can't stop my force powers. And then, okay, how about the scene when they're running through the grassy fields by all the... It goes,
God, like,
when the shot started, I was like, oh, this is such a beautiful shot. And then he's
riding on that stupid thing, and it looks so bad. It's so poorly tracked.
In the commentary, they're even making fun of George Lucas, saying, we can't get this to work. And he's like, I'm sure you guys can make it work. They're like, yeah, we probably can make it work, but should we make it work? Like, it's just a weird cow-looking thing. It just doesn't look right the way it runs. It just doesn't look like it has the right inertia and everything. And then you can clearly tell it's just a weird CGI Anakin, or it's a green screen Anakin or something like that. And it just looks awful. Like, could you have picked any other alien monster or just been creative in a different way?
Yeah.
Another big thing I noticed in these movies that even episode 1 did so much better is the camera work is just so static. And that's why this movie felt so slow too. There's very little camera movement in dialogue scenes. It's all just
They didn't have much in the originals either, though.
They didn't. I mean, they didn't.
They didn't have any.
But like, even think of the scene in Return of the Jedi at the end, like right before they go down to Endor, they're getting ready to set up the attack, and the camera kind of goes in through the corridor into the big room, and it opens up, and you see everyone like getting ready for the council or whatever, the meeting. Like, these movies don't have those kind of shots that like, it's always just high panning down low, like big kind of digital gliding shots. The other one felt like you were more part of the space. So yeah, they didn't have a lot of camera movement, but this just felt boring.
I mean, I kind of like the static shots in the originals. I mean, it felt weird. Like, for example, watching J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Yeah.
It just felt weird seeing like a glide cam into the deck.
Yeah.
With, you know, people like moving around. It felt weird. It didn't feel like Star Trek. I mean, it was a fantastic movie, I think, but it did lose a little bit of the Star Trek-iness. Just like this, I think too much movement would get rid of some of the Star Trek-iness.
Yeah,
Wars.
No, and I agree. I don't mean like to have like, obviously the spaceship stuff has amazing movement. It looks great, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's more of some of the framing, but it doesn't have to be like, I don't want it to be artsy framing, you know, where it just feels like lots of stuff obscured by the camera, because I don't think that's Star Wars. It doesn't look like, you know what I mean? It'd be weird having a shot in Star Wars where they're like lots of foliage in front, you know, and like peering through at someone. Like, that's just not this. I think that doesn't fit for Star Wars movie. But I don't know, it's just a lot of the council scenes, it's just really just very simple. I don't know, and it just feels very almost amateur shot sometimes. But yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially it was, since it was shot 1080p.
Yeah. So we looked up the camera they shot. It was one of the first all digital shot films for all the live action stuff, that is. And apparently it only shot up to 1080p, and that's crazy. So I don't know how. I mean, like they're making a 4K version of all the movies. So I wonder how they're doing that. Like for
multiply, you have to zoom in and enhance.
They're getting the CSI team working on it.
Yep. They can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So the real one thing I liked about the movie, and our challenge was to find something we actually liked.
Uh-huh.
I actually liked the scene after his mom died, where like he walked out of the tent.
Oh, I love that.
And the lightsaber came on, and he basically slaughtered the entire village. Some of the dialogue after was a little cheesy, but
yeah,
the act of him slaughtering all those people, I thought was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I love the scene when he's just talking about like, I slaughtered them all, like the women and the children. Like, you know, you could tell he was just pissed. But the frustrating part is right afterwards, Padme has no like, oh crap, like, you know what I mean, like has no like, it's just like, oh, I feel sad for you. There was no like, not really much of a shock, like, holy crap, you know. Like,
well, I mean, the thing that ruined that scene though was him talking about Obi-Wan. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. Do you remember that too?
Yeah.
That was part of that scene also, where he like throws a thing to the background.
Yeah.
That was part of that scene too.
And I think like, and here's again, I think some of the camera work doesn't help those scenes as well. Even from working on Norman, like, it's interesting how some shots, like if you frame it something closer, have the camera moving a little bit more, for some reason, like, let's say if you're looking at someone's face and they're intense, right? Not everyone getting angry does lots of big wild movements, right? But when the camera's up close, you can see more of the facial features to tell they're much more angry, or, you know, in subtlety. But like in Star Wars, some of the scenes when he's angry, it's such a long, wide shot that his anger, I can understand that. To me, I'm looking at that and going, I've been angry before like that. I've just gotten really frustrated, but I don't necessarily.
I've gotten angry too.
But like, you don't necessarily like flail your arms and run around. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I think the camera needed to be up locked. Like if that camera had zoomed in or moved in on his face as he was saying that, I think that would have been much more effective in some of the lines to come across. And I think the timing of them too were just bad.
Yeah.
It's like a glimmer of hope, like, oh yeah, dude, he looks angry and pissed. I like that. And then he's holding me back. It's like, oh gosh. What other part? Oh,
and so then go ahead.
Oh, I did notice one thing. He steals C-3PO. I realized, I was like, C-3PO and R2 just leave. They were like, they're droids. Like, I just see him coming back and the parents are dead because they don't have robots to help them on the farm. I was like, wait a second, C3, they just left and they just stayed with him.
Hold on. Those droids were on the farm?
C-3PO, that is, not R2.
C-3PO was on the farm.
Yeah, he was,
right?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I guess Anakin owned him beforehand, but.
And that was the younger Owen?
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to him when he bought him later that it was the same droid?
Wait, what do you mean? Who bought? Like, you mean Anakin?
Owen. When Owen, the two droids were at the farm, right?
Yeah.
With his mom?
Yeah.
So they left with Anakin. Eventually, they get bought back by Owen again and go back to the same farm.
Yeah.
Did it not occur to him that, you're kind of familiar? You talk just like the droid I already had.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan, obviously brings the twins, or brings one of the twins, I guess Luke, to Tatooine. I mean, maybe he told him, maybe he knew. Well, wait, no, he didn't buy him back. He didn't buy him back because remember, no, the C-3PO, he stayed on the ship. He stayed with Obi-Wan. That's what it was. Yeah, he didn't go back to Owen. Because
he did for the beginning of the movie.
No. In Phantom Menace, C-3PO always stayed with Owen. It was only R2 that was with the group. Because in Attack of the Clones, they go to the Tatooine and they're like, hey, C-3PO, you got gold armor now. Like you're all fixed up.
Right, but C-3PO was theirs on the farm, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so C-3PO left and came back to the farm in episode 4.
Oh, yeah. Oh, got it. Yeah. When he bought him back. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking still within the prequels. My bad. Yeah. He didn't recognize him at all. Like, wait a second. I owed you for a long ass time.
That seems like a continuity issue.
He's getting senile.
He's like, do you speak bocce?
Okay, Dave just sent a link, said 3 times as much music in Fallout 4.
I know. I want to click it so bad, but we're live recording, freak.
Okay, another scene I liked. I loved the scene when Anakin says goodbye to, Padme and goes off and searches his mother. I just love that, like, the speeder bike scene.
Yeah, it was a cool shot.
Would you not have enjoyed just going, you know what, let's cut away, let's just go with Anakin for a while, let's see where he goes, instead of it only being a montage? I wouldn't have minded seeing more of that.
You gotta have a montage.
But I would have enjoyed more of him on his own, like searching through stuff. I don't know, like that would have been interesting to me. But
yeah.
And then even like, it's just like if we're here, even like, he finds his mom, and then immediately she dies, as soon as he gets her, and I'm like, yeah, that can happen. But for me, like as a film, it also felt a little bit like coincidence, you know what I mean?
How
like,
convenient.
Because, how convenient for the film, you know what I mean? Where it would have been cooler if he tried to rescue and maybe she got shot escaping or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something more or less convenient happened as soon as he finds her. But I did love the burial scene when like he, picks up the dirt and he's just like, I miss you so much that, for me, that resonated to me as I was a kid, like watching this movie. Like I really enjoyed that. And that to me, like I was just kind of a more, I don't know, a frustrated kid, I guess. But like, cause I always felt like out of the loop on a lot of stuff, but, so I always kind of felt, I was pretty tight with my mom, with like my brothers and my dad and issues and stuff like that. I always felt very protective. So like to me, that resonated with me and I could just understand, but there's still like, watching it now, there's just not enough backstory to understand like why he likes her so much and why no one allows him to do anything about saving her, like that just frustrates me. But, yeah, I like that scene. And then how about just the Geonosis clone battle?
That was okay.
I like the scene when you see all the troopers in the dirt, like when it's like the dusty and they're all blasting and stuff like that. There's some cool scenes.
It was ruined, to me by Yoda talking in his backwards voice.
Yep.
It's cool sometimes to hear him talk backwards, But what did he say? Something like
Forward, perimeter, create.
Around create.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Really?
It just was. And I think that's what Lucas has such a hard time with. Is he like? There's times when Yoda speak and stuff like that. It works fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. It's funny. It's like. But right now, it's like he's trying to be a powerful leader. I'm sorry. Like, yes, that creature talks like that, but to most people, it still is silly.
It's 900 years old.
Yeah.
It can say it differently. It can say it in the right order.
Yeah, it's just, it's a lot of things are just bad timing. And then, okay, I got so frustrated with all the Jedi showing up. Like, first off, all the Jedi's pulling out their lightsabers in the most dumb ways imaginable.
They look like cosplay to me.
They did. It looks kind of like, hey, we need some extra Jedi's. Hey, visual effects guy, come over here. I'll put this cloak on.
No, it didn't. It didn't look like that. It looked like fans off the street. Like they won a contest to be in the movie.
The whole, like, there's this one lady that pulls out this lightsaber from over her head, and then she puts her hand out like, I'm force pushing or something. But like, what are you doing? There's no one there. And
I do like seeing Mace Windu's purple sword.
That was cool. Yes,
I liked his sword, or his saber. I hated. Oh my god!
What?
What the forced humor in that movie was so like. It was just so bad. Like the little quips you would get from C-3PO, like when he was on the conveyor belt. Like his head's just talking. It's like, that's so corny. He's like talking.
I'm beside myself.
He's breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah,
essentially.
And what's frustrating is in the commentary again, George Lucas commentates, or like there's notes, or someone's talking about how it happens in Empire Strikes Back, how he gets disassembled by those people on Cloud City, Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't, like, hey, look, it's the second movie. You don't have to freaking repeat everything. Just how he says, it's a rhyme. It's like a poem. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Films are not like a poem. You don't have to make it like that. You can do something new. I think one of the bad things, they made C-3PO CGI in a lot of scenes. Like, you didn't need to do that. All those scenes with C-3PO getting tossed around, you didn't need to do that.
I mean, I think CG was probably the biggest enemy of that film, especially considering CG had really come a long way.
Yeah.
At that point, when the movies were coming out, I think they got a little too CGI happy.
I think the CGI looks worse in Attack of the Clones than Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I do too.
Outside of maybe like city shots,
Jar Jar.
things. Outside of like Jar Jar and city shots, you can tell they upgraded that. But like, it was just so much everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if they could, there was no reason to do a CGI Yoda other than the fight scene. There was no reason to do a CGI C-3PO other than like effects shots.
Yep.
I mean, that was the beauty of the original films, is that everything looked organic, and they used the biggest shoestring methods possible to like really make you believe that you were seeing these ships flying in the sky. Like, what they were able to pull off with models is insane.
Mm-hmm. Just thinking of the Return of the Jedi, the scene with all the TIE fighters flying at them at the Millennium Falcon, the one that's like 60 of them. Like, how the crap did they do that? And it still holds up. Like, Ben borrowed my the original trilogy, and he's like, wow. He's like, and he hasn't seen these movies for probably about 20 years. Like, he never really was a really big fan of Star Wars. He's like, I do want to see the new one. He's like, but I have not seen the old ones, and I can't remember much about any of it. But he's watching, he's like, man, these hold up really well. He's like, I can see why these are a classic.
Well, it's fun. Another annoyance, the kiss when they were in the stadium. She like hopped on the thing and kissed him.
I deeply, truly love you. God. It's just like, oh, stabbed at the heart. Oh, no, stabbed at the heart. No.
It's been like, what, 2 weeks together?
I know.
And you didn't think about him for years? Like he thought about you for years? And you deeply, truly love him now?
Could you imagine a cool scene during the fight if, let's say she gets really wounded, you know what I mean? And you see like part of Anakin's power, like he just goes full, kills like one of the big monsters, like in kind of a bit of a slight rage or whatever, but rescues her, but in kind of like a, whoa, that was intense, But something that more of that was really impressive to her, you know what I mean? To show like, wow, he really does wants to take care of you, you know, will do anything for you. I don't know, it's just, there's so many things. And that's why, please, Force Awakens, be not just gritty, but be like realistic to how some of the danger should be.
Again, they missed so many opportunities with Anakin to make people say, whoa, maybe this isn't a good idea.
That's why I'm hoping that...
I mean, it was just the only thing that ever made him a problem was him being cocky. It was never like, this kid's a little bit of a loose cannon. It was never that.
Yeah.
He's just cocky.
Yep.
It was just like, oh, okay.
As opposed to Luke being cocky and Han Solo being cocky.
Yeah, I would rather see him being like frightful.
Yeah, yeah. Like slightly like this guy could kind of go out of control.
Yeah.
That would have been way cooler to watch because, you know, he could like almost an Anakin where he can almost see it himself, where he's kind of afraid too. And that's why he wants to be mentored. You know, he likes Obi-Wan is maybe because he gets like, you know, he does some of these things, he doesn't understand it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you take like the Hulk.
Yeah.
The Hulk at his core, as Bruce Banner, is afraid of his own power.
Yeah.
Because he knows as if when he lets go, like lots of bad things happen. And you see that a little bit in Age of Ultron when he's controlled, that he can really wreak havoc.
Yeah.
There's a really cool storyline in the comics where he gets exiled and it's basically goes off to another planet and becomes a warrior and stuff like that, comes back with his son and basically snaps and goes on like a killing spree in New York.
Oh, wow.
And like all these different heroes try to go up against him.
Man, I wish Age of Ultron actually had violence in it. But yeah, and I think this...
We'll talk about that one day too.
Yeah. Right after we do the Matrix trilogy.
I've got all the Marvel and DC movies that anybody could ever hope for.
I still need to see Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'm going to buy that when it comes out on Blu-ray. So we can watch it and review it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Anyway, I can't even really remember how it ends other than a little secret lover wedding thing with his little gold hand.
Well, okay.
And okay. Let's go to that fight.
Yeah.
Again, that was just another stupid, like, we're not going to make him powerful, arrogant. We're just going to make him arrogant.
And stupid. Like,
yeah, stupid arrogant.
That's what it's like. It would have been awesome for him, like you know, in the third movie, like it was so funny because it was such a relief when they fought Count Dooku again. They're like, all right, we're gonna fight him this time together, you know. And I remember thinking the first time I saw that, going, yeah, they totally were like, people were like, this is retarded in the second one, you know, like, can't you, like, does every move have to be dumb? You know what I mean? Like, can't it just be a mistake within something or something he does? It's always like, don't go on that. Oh, I'm gonna do it.
So he gets his hand cut off. Whoop-de-doo. We saw that coming. The Yoda fight, yeah. I mean, Yoda, it never at any point had the upper hand in their fight.
Yeah, and
like, I would have loved to see Yoda like actually make him look like a fool, but he really didn't. And it was just a lot of fancy, obviously lightsaber work, and he was catching, you know, his lightning.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see someone who's been a Jedi, you know, who knows for how many years, but he being 900 years old, he had to have been a Jedi for a few hundred years, you would imagine. You would think he would be just way more formidable than he was.
Especially since he goes up against the Emperor in the later movie, you know, in the third movie, and is holding his own, but then has a hard time with Count Dooku. I mean, like, I know he stops because he had to rescue Obi-Wan. Yeah, okay. But like, just, I don't know, the whole battle, it was, if you watched it, like, it was the coolest scene ever. And this is how, like, this is why the Batman Dark Knight Rises, it was so amazing in the theater. But now when you watch it twice, you start analyzing a little bit. It just doesn't hold up very well. Fight scenes and choreography, you're like, oh. Like, you can even see a scene that when every time they go into the both swords kind of like, right against each other, you know, they both say their little quips like, you know, my apprentice, you know, whatever, my Padawan. the lightsaber actually, like, you can see it magnetically go whoop, it like connects where it wasn't going to connect in the earlier shot, and the next scene it just does. And just a lot of stuff like that that's like, you know, obviously the first time you see it, you're just excited, you know, Yoda's fighting, you don't notice that, but watching it now, it's not done very well.
Well, I mean, they never gave us a reason to really hate Dooku.
No, not at all.
I mean,
you didn't really know who he was.
You find out at the end, but he's not Cypher Diaz, is he? I mean, we don't know.
No. And again, in the Clone Wars animated show, I'm not sure how much you watched, but there's a scene where Obi-Wan, Count Dooku, and Anakin have to work together to escape this prison. They all get caught in, and it is an awesome episode because Count Dooku is like, you know, he's working together with them, but at any second he's right about to just kill every one of them. But towards the end, he like force chokes people, and I'm like, here in this Clone Wars cartoon, you have way more dramatic drama and violence than you have in the actual movie. So I'm like generally scared for Count Dooku because he's a creepy character in this show, but in the movie, no, he's not really that creepy or scary because he hasn't done anything. You don't see how bad of a person he is.
That's the thing I like about animation movies and TV shows is that they can take a lot more risks.
Yeah.
I look at the character progression over, you know, a season or something of, you know, one, obviously they have a lot more time to work with, but given that amount of time, they're not afraid to stick out their necks a little bit. I mean, especially if you watch something like Daredevil. It's completely different than anything you would see in Avengers.
Yeah.
Have you seen that series yet?
No, I need to watch it.
You really need to watch it because it's what you're looking for. It's that dark, gritty, wow, I'm actually terrified for this character.
That's what I'm hoping what the Suicide Squad's going to be, since it is R, that I hope they actually have, hey, I hope Joker actually kills someone. Like if he's
I don't think Joker's going to be in the movie that much. I think he's just a flashback, but they're going to use him in a pretty big way for Harley Quinn, I'm sure.
Yeah. But, you know, either way, I'm like, I hope it's actually like, oh, it's dangerous. They're actually fighting people. And it's not just silly. Because it's like when you see Batman, the animated series, and they're like, that one guy, Batman accidentally kills like a dad in a scene or something like that by accident, or he falls or dies, and the kid's right there like crying, you know, like, Batman, what happened? I'm like, this isn't a cartoon show I watched. And then you go back to the Batman of the time and they're like roller skate or ice skating around. I'm like, what is this? So please, Force Awakens, take it into the new age of actually having danger. Even like the originals, like there was danger in Empire Strikes Back, you know, when he's hanging underneath, you know, with his arm chopped off, and he's just, you know, I remember thinking, man, this is like, what's gonna happen to Luke? You know, he's gonna fall into this, you know, into the sky, or like, what's gonna happen? But
that was a brilliant scene. That's one of the most brilliant scenes of cinema. So anyway, to end that film off, I guess the other thing I really liked out of that film, Ian McDiarmid, I think he's the best part of that entire series.
I think Obi-Wan is, but he was fantastic.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was fantastic too, but he did have some pretty bad lines too.
Yeah, I guess
Ian McDiarmid had the most solid all the way across lines, performance.
Yeah, I agree.
Like they could not have cast better with him. Obviously, I mean, they already did, but
it just makes me think about Revenge of the Sith, how I was so excited to see Darth Vader actually fighting Jedi. Man, they let down so much in these movies. Like, there was so much potential in a lot of it, but it's like, nope, we're not going to have you... Oh, yeah, did you want to see Jedis doing this? Not in this movie.
Well, it reminds me of this trilogy that I watched called The Matrix.
Oh,
where they
yeah.
had all this potential.
Yeah.
And they let all the potential go by the end.
Do you remember that one scene how they go in, it's a fight scene, and everyone's on the ceiling upside down and like dancing around, shooting stuff? Like it was some bar. I think it was like, I thought it was like some Asian like tavern thing or something like that, but it was crazy. They went off the rails on that movie.
Dancing on the ceiling?
Yeah, there's one where they're upside down like shooting and stuff. I think it's the third one, Revolutions, or
I think it's blocked.
It's blocked. So okay, one okay. I really the last thing I really liked. I liked the idea that Jango Fett was the clone, the original clone, and so his son is Boba Fett. Like I thought that was a cool tie-in for that.
I just didn't care.
But then they made Jango Fett like an absolute, just stupid. Like he
was a flat character.
Like he was so boring.
Special purpose.
Yeah, he wasn't very good, and he died. So he didn't die in a formidable way that it was like his kid's gonna be badass. You know what I mean? Like this guy is a badass. The only reason he died is because, like, it would have been awesome if there were several Jedi that had to beat him. You know what I mean? Let's say he got caught by 4 of them or something. You know what I mean? That would have been really cool. Like,
well, again, they give you no reason to like Jango Fett.
Yep.
They give you no reason. It would have been cool if maybe he was before the Clone Wars, like he was the leader of the army, leader of the Jedi army or something like that, and was kind of living a double life as a bounty hunter.
It was just so much actually
shady, but it was just, oh, people really liked Boba Fett, so we need to get Jango Fett in here, and you need to give him a backstory.
Yep.
That'll be good. It literally had a purpose. Him being the clones, okay. If he weren't the clones, still wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, he was a cool actor. I love the actor. His voice was awesome. He had a cool look to him, but it was just like he didn't do anything. Okay, he killed 1 Jedi with the blaster pistol, and then he just stood there. I was just like, I don't know. I wanted him to like.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, bounty hunter. The only person he officially killed was the shapeshifter.
Yeah, well, he killed the other 1 Jedi that fell off the cliff.
No, in the Jedi.
But the CGI.
He's pretty terrible.
Like he did. Like, could you imagine if he like jumped down like rocket going down and just blasting a couple Jedis and them just going, like dying and stuff? That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But like, oh crap, dude, this guy's legit.
Right.
Nope. None of that. And then he fights a beast, and then also in the DVD I remember watching in the commentary, George Lucas is like, in the theatrical version when Jango Fett gets ready to leap away, people were confused. They're like, why didn't he use his jetpack? Well, in the CGI, they never rendered the sparks that come off his jetpack to show that his jetpack got broken. So everyone just thought he was the dumbest character ever because he didn't use his jetpack. But so apparently they fixed that in the Blu-ray we watched. But still, it's like, okay, that got broke. Like he had, like, I don't know, it was like a cheesy death. It was not like he had no skill.
Yeah.
Like, and again, was George Lucas going, you know what? Well, Boba Fett just slipped into the Sarlacc pit. We got to have him do something silly, because it rhymes.
Oh gosh.
So that means Norman too. We got to have everything rhyme, James.
Yep.
Just for no reason. I'm ready to be done talking about this movie now.
I'm ready to be done talking about it too. It's sad. It makes me feel even worse about the 3rd movie, even though I liked it better than the 2nd. Now I'm thinking about the 3rd movie and all the pointless stuff they did in that.
just wait. Just you remember the line from Padme when they're, no, you don't understand. I'm just more in love with you. And then that movie has one of the worst edits. I hate. The filmmakers do this and just think people just don't notice it. It's when they reverse a shot, especially when it has somebody's eyeballs in it. So he's looking one way and they reverse the shot to make him look back, and it has this weird like whoop, like his eyes just kind of snap. And I hate that because I see it all the time in movies. It's like, do people really not notice these things? I'm like, maybe I guess they don't, but I hate when I notice it. Because I
don't see J.J. Abrams doing that.
I hope not, because that's one of those things I'm like, like even in Norman, like I was talking with Picor, I was like, I know a lot of some of these details now, like some of the stuff that we're doing like in visual effects, the tiny little, times signatures on stuff on Annie's device, you probably won't see it or be able to catch all of it. But for me, since I know I'm putting it there, I can't help but want to add that detail just so that like a year or two from now when I'm watching and going, yay, I at least got that. You know what I mean? Like it would frustrate me to know I missed that little thing.
Yeah. And
it's just frustrating that they had 3 years and tons of money to make this. And obviously it's a much bigger picture, of course, but it's like that can still slip into a big movie like that. Like, no one, oh well. Well, that was fun. So for next episode, we talked about the Matrix trilogy.
We're getting there one day.
The next episode we will be, we're probably not going to do it Monday night, are we? Because of Fallout coming out.
No, we might have time.
We might have time. We're going to be doing double duty, talking about Fallout and Star Wars.
Yep.
Well, thanks, James. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And if you enjoyed this podcast and you listened all the way through, what's the word they should comment? Dewalawanga?
No, haunted by the kiss that you should not have given me.
All right, thanks, guys, for listening. We'll see you guys next week.